Hello again, everybody. It's Takedown. We stop in Davidson, Michigan. I think that's where we are with Brent Metcalf. Brent, is it close? Are you in Davidson?
Yeah, I'm in Davidson right now. My son was here for the last 10 days with my parents while I was overseas in Azerbaijan, and my wife was whitewater rafting in the Grand Canyon. So they were babysitting our son, and I drove out here to pick him up, and my wife's flying in this evening from Arizona. So we're
Wow.
all going to meet here and head back home. So,
Whitewater rafting.
yep,
You were wrestling in Azerbaijan.
yep.
Chase was being babysat by the grandparents, and that's where you absolutely dominated, if I recall, back at Davidson, Michigan. One of the trio of guys that were so good out of Davidson High School. But let's talk a bit about what happened. But before we go there, Chase is 16 months old.
Yes, yep.
Talking, walking, wrestling. What's the activity right now?
Yeah, we're not quite wrestling, but he does like to roll around the house. He's running around. He's got a few words. He thinks he knows a lot more words than what he does, but he's definitely a talker, and it's been a whole lot of fun.
All right. So when wife gets back, she'll fly in from Arizona. You'll spend a week there, and then drive back to Iowa City.
No, not quite a week. We'll spend just a few days here,
A few
and
days.
then I'll be back in Iowa City by the end of the week.
And then for you, what's next for you as far as training goes?
Yeah,
Competition.
about get that weekend. I'll be in Iowa City where I can do some training in Iowa City, and then back on the way back out to Colorado. So I guess it would be a week and a half from now. We'll head back up to Colorado Springs for another training camp. Then we're back home for about 4 days, and then we head to Rome for our acclimation, and then the World. So it's coming. It seems far away because we're not even in August yet, but it'll be here before we know it. So
August is literally here in just like in a day and a half. And I'm counting down the days. It's my birthday month. I appreciate the fact that you've already sent me the birthday mail,
yeah.
the birthday card. That's cool. We've been friends for a while, but it's still cool that you're that sensitive. That's very cool. So let's talk a bit about the performance in Baku, Azerbaijan, July 25th. It was a gold medal for you.
Mm-hmm.
You continue your winning ways. You take a look at what happened at the trials, at the Cup, at the Open, all the performances you've had, and that's what they truly are, because they are things of beauty to look at. Now, there's one that you said was a little ugly, and I'm not sure which one you were describing, but even you have points where you're disappointed in your performance. There are people out there that can't understand why. Can you describe why?
Probably in the easiest sense of term is that, you always want to go out and dominate, really. And that's kind of a word that gets used a lot. But when I use that word, I mean it in the sincerest way, in that I really want to separate myself from the competition, right? And in the end of the day, it is about winning. But to me, it matters how I win, So, and that's what I train for every day, and that's what keeps me driven. A lot of, you can have tons of success, but as long as you stay motivated and you have that, maybe that drive to dominate people. And when I say that, I mean, widen the gap. So in the finals, I won 6-6 on a criteria. That doesn't sit real well with me, right?
Right.
So can I go home and feel good about winning the Grand Prix? Yeah, but really, there's still a lot of drive inside because you just barely got by that with that win, sort of thing.
Let's talk about that criteria win, 6-6 in the finals. You scored 6 unanswered points in the second period, which showed a dominance. It did in the second period, but Muslim could not answer you. Okay, the Azerbaijani could not answer you. And so while we all agree with the final outcome, the victory for you, you would have rather have won 12-6.
I would have rather have won 10-0.
10-0. Okay.
Don't give up any points, right? So I'm stingy. Here's the thing. I can have perspective, too. And I know, like I said, at the end of the day, it's about winning. And that's kind of what I meant by, I think you're going off of my tweet there where, at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to win the ugly ones. The guy came out and he took me down 3 times in the first 2 minutes. That doesn't happen a whole lot with me, right? No. But it happens. The guy had a good game plan. He was going kind of counter off of my high crotch. So you make an adjustment, and find a way to come back and still get the win. And so you could feel good about that. You could feel good about your ability to put points on the board when you're in a hole. So moving forward, let's be smarter, not put yourself in a hole, and then add to that lead that you can build. So
The criteria you actually won on was having the highest scoring move, and that was a 4-point front headlock. And it was, you know what, that's the kind of thing I like, because you get in there and you're dominating your guy. He can not much he can do, and it was front headlock and then roll. Talk about that, because that was a real neat thing, and wrestling fans love to see that. But obviously, those are the kind of things you want to score a lot with a lot, and they're not easy to apply.
yeah, probably that hold in particular. It's one of those things where if you're constantly looking for that sort of move, it's not going to be there. It's something where me running, trying to score like a takedown on front headlock is what sets that up. And I guess where I was at in the match, the guy was in kind of in a tripod position, and he was real slimy. And what I mean by slimy is like slippery, like he was hard to secure down. So I knew that as I was in that front headlock position a number of times, and I kept missing it, missing the controlling him, the score. So I kind of faked like I was going to go to get him to react, and it kind of went into my setup, I guess. But again, I was aware where I was at. I knew I was down, and I needed to put some points on the board. I don't think it was necessarily a desperation move, and that's important. That it's not a desperation thing. You're just you hit a hold hard. So.
Well, you've never been accused of hitting a hold easy. Matter of fact, there's a rule I want to talk to you about, an experimental rule that's being put into place. It'll be exercised first at the All-Star Classic. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think of you often when I think of both the experimental rules that will be used at the All-Star Classic, because I have a real problem with the way the current rule is written, and the 50% deduction. So I'll describe that here in a moment. We're talking with Brent Metcalf, gold medalist at the FILA Golden Grand Prix in Baku, Azerbaijan. It was just 5 days ago that he won. Now he sits with his little baby boy napping. Brent Metcalf rejoins us now. Davidson, Michigan, where his son Chase sits is laying down napping, waiting for the return of his mother. You were joined by others on that same trip. Ed Ruth, the prodigy from Penn State, Jake Varner, the former Iowa State wrestler and gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist Travel Delagnev, who's just been a horse, just an absolute beast. What's it like traveling with these guys? I've seen the pictures of you guys at dinner and various places, but looks like it's a good group of guys. It seems like you all get along.
Yeah, very good group of guys. Maybe some newer faces in there when you talk about Ruth, and Nico Megaludis was with us. So some newer guys, but they're a good group of guys, and they come from a great program. So they've got their head on right. They've got they've been through it. Not really been through it before, but they're winners. So it's good. It was all good. Varner and Tervel are guys that I've spent quite a bit of time with in the past. So I feel like we have a pretty good relationship. So it's a good group to travel with. Again, it's good to be with guys with the like mindset. That we were there to win. And to take home some serious hardware, and we didn't all get what they wanted, but we did end up with a lot of medals, and that's a good step in the right direction. So, is
the U.S. World Team in a better spot today than it was a year ago?
I think that there has been. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, what you're really looking at is gold medals, but gold medals, right? So if you look at last year's performance, all we had was one medal, right? So, for me, I feel like our progression since 2008, let's just call it when I came in here, it's really gone up. We're way more ahead of where we were, but our performance last year doesn't really say that, right? Because that's really what counts. So I guess I could tell you, yeah, we're better off, but I mean, we got to see what happens here, because I can feel good about it, and we could say, we've done this, we've done that, we're this at the World Cup, we're that at the World Cup. But at the end of the day, we've got to go and we've got to, win a lot of matches and win medals and win gold medals in particular at the World Championships. So I feel good about it, but I've been feeling good about it. So, I guess I'm kind of hesitant to jump on our own bandwagon, I guess.
You've always been that guy, though. You never want to step out there and be a guy that says, "Hey, we're doing a good job" until the job is well done. Is that fair to say?
I don't know. Maybe. I guess maybe that's just the way that I'm able to keep my edge, and by edge I mean not relax and not for a moment think or take things for granted. Is to just stay stingy there and not accept results or maybe not even feel good about where you're at until you do it, and then once you win or get what you want, you feel good about it for a little bit, and then there's another step, there's the next thing. So I guess maybe, I don't know if that's the right way to be or not, but that's what keeps me driven. So
that's your way.
Yeah,
that's your way, and that's what works for you. 65 kilos, you're making the weight look good, and gosh, you're wrestling lights out. I think there's, you and I have talked about the rule changes and some of the things that have been situation specific to your style. And it kind of takes me back to the college days, watching you wrestle, go heavy hand on the head, push down, take the leg, take down 2, let them up. There's your point, that you give back. That's where I go to these new NCAA experimental rules, the 2 rules that are going to be put into place at the All-Star Classic. I want to talk with you about in particular because you had so many of those bouts where you would take your guy down, let him up, take him down, let him up, take him down, let him up. My point is, it was always kind of disappointing to me to see you give up 50% of that which you worked for.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a couple of things here that are going to be put into place here. I'm going to describe them to you and tell me if you think this is perhaps a better rule and maybe even better rationale for today's modern wrestler at the collegiate level anyway. We'll go to Rule C, which is neutral position stalling. When in a neutral standing position and a wrestler is not actively engaged in an offensive attack or defensive counter to an attack, and his or her feet are both out of the wrestling area, that wrestler should be called for stalling. A tie-up, including an underhook with no attempt to initiate an offensive move, is not considered an offensive or defensive attack. So neutral position stalling. You agree with that?
Well, here's the thing. It's all about how it gets implemented. So we've had stalling for how many years now? So they can use fancy words and say, well, if you have an underhook and you're not using it, or this or that, but in reality, you still got to get the refs to call it. So I think it's a step in the right direction that they're trying to put more emphasis on it, but the call's still got to be made.
All right, this one is even more specific to you. I feel a wrestler. This is D. This is the pair of them that'll be at the All-Star Classic. A wrestler who gains the offensive position by being awarded a takedown or reversal may, after a wrestling stoppage by the wrestlers going out of bounds, he may choose to resume wrestling in a neutral position without an escape point being awarded to his or her opponent. Now, see, that has me, that in my opinion about your style and your history written all over it, because I never wanted to see you give up 50% of your points. It's like going to the bank, making a deposit, and the guy says, all right, you put in $1, but we're only going to credit you for 50 cents. You follow me?
Yes, I do like that rule, and the specifics of it. I think they did a good job of thinking it through. In that, if I take you down, you can, if you the bottom guy, get up and get away and get your point because you deserve to. But I think it's if you go out of bounds or if there's a stop in the action, at that point I can let you up. So I've showed that I can control you, and now I'm choosing to let you up. I do like that. As far as is the rule going to work for what they want? Hopefully, I think what and for my take on it, what you're trying to avoid is the rioting, right?
Right.
You don't want guys riding someone for 5 minutes.
Like Johnny Hendricks would, for example, as a cowboy, he would ride and ride and ride and ride.
Yeah, and a lot of that is you don't want to give up points, right? So if you can avoid them having to give up a point, hopefully they want to get on their feet, create more action.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it we'll see how it translates. I think it's good. Yes, I do like the rule, and if it has it applied to the way that I wrestle and to the way that a lot of our guys wrestle at the University of Iowa, I think that it's going to be very good for us. For the whole college in general, again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if guys really want to wrestle, because you don't have to let the guy up, You can continue to ride him, and then so now the rule really is mute, right? If a guy just wants to ride on top of him. So I think it's good. I think it's a good step in the right direction. I know that I would have preferred that rule because, like you said, I think he gave up a whole lot of points that way. And sometimes you get yourself in a hole. A lot of matches, you take a guy down twice, right? You take him down twice, you let him up, and then he slips in a takedown on you. Well, match is tied
up again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so and the guy really hasn't done anything. Maybe so you're really 2 takedowns to 1. So yeah, I think that's a good rule, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
But you understand how I could have. I've been holding this out there for so long that it's become personal with me.
Yeah.
Because that was your style and others, but that's who I think about when I see this. It was designed to get that guy, your opponent, to promote more aggressive wrestling. That's what it is by the defensive wrestler. If he's just going to hang back and wait for an opportunity, and he's being given points, well, guess what? Now he's going to have to get in there and score.
He's going to have to
try,
point,
which is going to create more opportunities for a guy like you anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Effectively, given your style. All right.
I agree.
From Michigan back down to Iowa City, a few days there, and then it's out to Colorado Springs. Then it's off to Rome, Italy. Now I understand you guys are meeting with the Pope.
Yeah, I don't know.
No Pope.
I don't know anything about that.
Bruce Burnett's he's got a pretty good connection, I think.
Yeah, does he? He might. I don't know. He's got a lot of experience, so maybe he does.
What about Bruce Burnett as the new head coach of USA Wrestling Freestyle?
It's good. It's been good so far. It's still very early on. We've had just one training camp, and I went on the tour with him. It's good for a guy like me, I think, especially because he's very flexible, and he allows me to get what I want. And I am far enough into this game, let's call it, or I've been through this enough times that I know what I need, So for me in particular, it's a pretty good fit because he allows us to get what we want and what we need. So,
but he also has high expectations of you as a team leader, though, too.
Well, yeah, of course, but I think everyone does. We're all the United States. We all expect a lot of the same things. He's a good motivator. He's got a lot of great things. He's maybe old school, and you could argue that I'm kind of an old school kind of guy. So, I think it's been great, and we'll continue to develop a relationship as this goes. So,
I got news for you, Brent. If you think about it, after a certain age, we're all kind of old school.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Everything tends to slow down just a little bit. We can appreciate the subtle nuances of life, and say we love rap and hip hop. But I guarantee you, when it comes down to it, I'm a little bit country.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? All right.
Yep.
Hey, good job on the gold medal, man. You put that in the box with all the rest of them, or is there a special place? Are you developing a trophy room?
No, I don't have any trophy room. Someone was asking me the other day about my Hodge trophy and about my NCAA plaques, and I said, I don't even know where they are. So hopefully my parents have them. I'm pretty sure I've given them to them over the years, and I'm sure maybe one day there might be a trophy room. But for right now, these things go in my basement, in my storage.
Hawkeye Wrestling Club, dude. You've been a good and solid part of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. What about other sponsors? Who else has gotten behind you?
A6 Cliff Keen and All American Supply. They've done a great job of helping me out as well. So those are kind of my main guys there.
Is there a shoe deal on the horizon for you? I've heard some rumblings about a shoe deal. It seems like
seems like everybody's got a shoe deal these days.
I've got a shoe deal.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, no, I haven't heard anything about it. At least, And I guess the way that I've always grown up is you got to be the Olympic champ to get a shoe. Is the way I've always envisioned it. So as far as I'm concerned, I need to go and win the Olympics, and then I guess I can worry about that.
No, the shoe
Um,
comes after.
yeah, so I guess that's where I'm at with that. I don't know anything about it. I guess if a company is trying to make a Metcalf shoe, maybe they ought to call me and let me know.
Maybe they could let you pick out the colors. Gee, wonder
Yeah.
what colors they would be.
Yep.
Brent Metcalf, always good to talk to you, man. Give my best to your wife and a hug and a kiss to Chase for me.
All right.
It's a special time for dads and boys. I tell you what, it's always good to talk to you, my brother. Best of luck and work hard. I know you will, but this one's yours coming up. It surely is.
All right. Thank you.
God bless, bud. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's Brent Metcalf. I'm Scott Casper, and thanks for watching.